Hey, what's up, good people? Welcome to another amazing podcast interview of my Knowledge is Love Astrology podcast with an incredible guest, Ken Elliott, manifesting 123, and you don't need the three. He is an amazing manifester and a brilliant artist of fine art. And I just want to share, this interview, we had some technical difficulties. So please bear in mind, he's up in the mountains of Colorado, but you're going to love it. He's a great storyteller. And you could share one of your manifesting stories, with him and contact him, kenelliott.com or manifesting123.com. And he'll send you a free copy of the book. So very generous. Excuse the internet kind of going in and out. Like I said, he's in the mountains. But this is a powerful interview. And he gives you some amazing tips on really how to manifest. All right. Enjoy. And please comment down below and reach out to Ken Elliott, especially if you're an inspiring artist. All right. Enjoy. BigEAstro.
He can see that van starting to appear on the spirit, in the spirit realm, not in the physical. It looks like a vapor. It looks like a smoke. But when you're over there, you have a knowing about what that is, and that's the van. And you stay on that, and you have that little sticky note on the mirror, or it's in your billfold, or whatever. You touch that every day, then you do this repetition thing. That smoke starts to congeal into the form of a van. And you stay on it and stay on it. He says it gets very 3D in full color, and that thing is coming over. It's going to be physical. You may not have the money, but somebody wills it to you. I had a friend that needed a car. She had a terrible car and got in a huge hailstorm here, one of these really bad ones here, and it looked like it had bullet holes in it. It went right through the glass. Totally ruined the body, broke all the glass front and back, and she got a car that was 2 generations newer, $600 out of her pocket, and she's happy as a clam. Well, it came over, didn't it? I mean, she was manifesting that new car. Never imagined it would be a hailstorm to make it happen.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 336 of my Knowledge is Love Astrology podcast. Today, I have truly an amazing guest. This gentleman is a brilliant fine artist, and we're going to learn about all of his artwork, but he has written an incredible book titled Manifesting 123, and you don't need the three. I present to you guys the true artiste, Mr. Ken Elliott. Welcome to the show, Ken. How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's an honor to be here.
Well, it's so good to have you. And I tell you, I really love, and I've gotten to just read a little bit of your book. My wife's read the whole thing. And I want to know what inspired you to write this book, Manifesting 123, and you don't need the three.
It just kept, the information just kept coming. And frankly, I was too unaware, too dumb. Once somebody gave me the secret, a key to the universe, to just go, oh, that's really something. So I just played with it. I was just a monkey mind with the thing. I didn't do anything with it. It was my amusement. So what happened is I have a good friend, William Buhlman, Buhlman. He is the most prominent of the out-of-body teachers here in the United States, or in the West probably. And we're pals. I did his website, doing all that. And I had access to his 10,000 letters from all over the place about out-of-body procedures. And so I'd done some of that. I wasn't a real adept at it, but I knew it was real and had my own experiences. And so we would have, off the books conversations a lot from these. And one time he said, sometimes I'm on the other side and I see these things on my wish list arrayed in different forms of um, fabrication, construction. What are you talking about?
Mm.
And I get around a lot of stuff. That I know a number of things that aren't in literature from a lot of gifted friends and this and that just don't make a book, just odds and ends. Never heard anything like this. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I have a wish list. Guys don't have wish lists. Come on. That's why we go to the store. We don't get everything. Um, so, but he had a wish list. And he told me what was on it, that first one, and what the results were. It was pretty amazing. So he went on to say, let's say it could be, a week. He goes back into that area. He can see that van starting to appear in the spirit realm, not in the physical.
Wow.
It looks like a vapor. It looks like a smoke. But when you're over there, you have a knowing about what that is, and that's the van. And you stay on that, and you have that little sticky note on the mirror, or it's in your billfold, or whatever. You touch that every day, then you do this repetition thing. That smoke starts to congeal into the form of a van, and you stay on it and stay on it. He says it gets very 3D in full color, and that thing is coming over. It's going to be physical. You may not have the money, but somebody wills it to you. I had a friend that needed a car. She had a terrible car and got in a huge hailstorm here, one of these really bad ones here. And it looked like it had bullet holes in it. It went right through the glass, totally ruined the body, broke all the glass front and back. And she got a car that was 2 generations newer, $600 out of her pocket, and she's happy as a clam. Well, it came over, didn't it? I mean, she was manifesting that new car. Never imagined it would be a hailstorm to make it happen.
Wow.
So I called my friend Judy Goodman, they're both at the core of this book, but Judy more than William. And Judy goes out of body every night. She's completely, very, very heavily gifted. She has done things I won't even mention on the program, beyond gifted, 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 beyond
Right.
anything you see on Oprah. And so she is someone that my go-to person asks a question about what's this thing that William's talking about, and I described it, and I said, "Is this true?" She said, "Yeah, that's true. This is what thoughts do. They take form." She said, "Yeah." Why didn't you tell me? She said, "Well, you never asked me." So put that Yoda thing on me. So so I started sending her stuff. A stranger called me and said, "I understand you're talking with Judy a lot. Do you know who she is? What she is?" So she's very psychic. She said, "Oh no, 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 more than that." And she told me about these things that Judy does, and one of these was, if you send her something in thought, she'll get it. Now this sort of tied in with William's thing,
Right.
and so I thought, well, I got to try this. I mean, Judy's a good friend by now, so okay, I'll just goof and do something. So I said, I want to send you something. I understand tomorrow's your birthday, so I'm going to send you something in thought. She said, all right, what are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to. She said, look, send me a gift. It's going to come from your heart. I'm going to get
Wow.
that thought every time. The heart thing, what are you talking about? I don't know what that's a subtlety. I don't pick up on that very well. So, so the next morning I got up. She said, "You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to be a visualizer. You don't have to have a talent at this sort of stuff." So I thought I want something easy. So a yellow rose and a simple silver vase. There it is. And I, started cramming on that thing. She said just take 2 or 3 seconds, but that wasn't good enough for me. I gotta jam this thing. So I was just muscling that thing. I don't know what to do. I don't have a clue. And forget the heart thing. It's probably not important anyway. That's probably just some girly thing. So I'm just really hitting this thing. And I went to work and I was worthless, came home from lunch and jammed on it some more. And I called her up and I must have, I probably did this 40 or 50 times. And I'd say this every time. Did you get the thing I sent? And she said, yes, I did. Well, you have to tell me what it is. She said, all right, there's a lot of people on the other side in spirit. They know it's my birthday. And she was looking at her computer. So she looked with her computer and she said, the room is full of gifts from friends in spirit. There are some people here in the physical realm. They know it's my birthday and they know they can send me things in thought. Don't even bother, by the way. She's got huge layers of protection and barriers and stuff, but it's an open door for some people. So she said, people here in this realm, physical realm, have sent me things and they're here. She said, your thing, Ken, is right up front. Now, that might have some meaning, but I wouldn't really care about that. I just want to know what you got. Because I'm just a 3-year-old with this stuff. And she said, was it your intention to send me a rose? And I choked on that. You see this happen to other people. Yeah, so what? And she said, was it your intention to send me a yellow rose? Which it was. I think I said that up front, a yellow rose.
Yeah, yellow rose.
And I said, okay. I said, yeah. She said, well, that's not what I got. What? She said, look, somebody knew you were going to do this thing, that you were going to do this little experiment, and they wanted to get in on it. And so they grabbed your thought. This person grabbed your thought, embellished it, and sent it on to me. And I said, well, we've talked about this thought thing a little bit, that it's, instantaneous. The psychic hit, you have the sister, instantaneous. It's not like you have to wait for the phone connection. She said, that's right. I said, well, who could take something that's instantaneous and grab it, embellish it, and send it on its way? She said, some big guy. Now, this is not the Ken Elliott Manifesting Holy Roller Hour, but these things happen sometimes. Because these are get-around people that are walking out there, okay? I'll just give you that. And I didn't start a church over this or anything. I was just sort of, huh? And I said, well, what do you mean big guy? She said, JC. Like, Jesus, big guy? She said, yeah. Uh-oh. And this is not good. This is not the lady who wins the lottery going, thank you, Jesus. Oh, no. Santa Claus really watching what you're doing. This is not good. This is really not good. So I was not happy, not unhappy, and all this stuff is coming at the same time. And that just changes things. That changes things. Now, I didn't go into any depth about this because then I might encounter some big guy or other big guys or something. I'm just going to lay low with this and enjoy this little thing that happened. And I said, well, what happened? She said, well, he got your rose and dipped it in gold. And what I'm looking at is this rose that's all low with gold on it. And I had to play 800 psychic. I had to guess if it's a yellow rose, which it was. So I would send her stuff a lot, just for the fun of it.
So she received. Are you saying she received the yellow rose in the mail that was dipped in gold?
No,
that you were sending
she
from
got it
thought?
in real time. She saw it appear in the spirit form in real time. Well, she was on the computer. She looked over there. It was. I did a real time later, but that was within 2 minutes.
Wow.
No, I sent it that morning, went to lunch. Let's give it 4 hours. So within 4 hours, that thing showed up. And I was cramming on it. She said, by the way, you worked on it too hard. She could tell. I must have wilted it or something. I don't know.
So that's fascinating when you say that, because on your side, how were you manifesting, or what was your thought intention that you were trying to send her with this yellow rose?
I was a dummy trying to send somebody a yellow rose in thought with no instruction manual. And guess what? You don't need one. You don't need one. We're all
So is the
doing
key that
this.
it's coming from your heart?
Well, that would make it more efficient, but I didn't do that. I just crammed it. You know, that's all I did.
Oh,
So
wow.
so here's the number one right in front of the show. If you have a thought, it will start to take form. It's a natural law. So if you want that new job, I like the word career, but if you want that new job
Yes.
and you're thinking that all the time, want the new job, going to get the new job and all, all that stuff, you can do anything you want. Your thoughts are intentions. You can write candles, you can make sticky notes, you can tell your friends, everything you do it's just an intention. It's like getting a piece of Xerox paper and you lay it over there and you get another one, just one a day. Pretty soon it's got some bulk. Your thoughts are taking form. And it could be, a thing or a concept. So that job is taking form. If you're on the other side, you might see the office building or the desk or whatever kind of job it is. You could be a musician, it could be, an accountant, anything. You would see that thought starting to take form after being just a puff of smoke. Now, what most of us do, all right, you're working on that thought on track one. Your thoughts will make anything you think and repeat. On track two, I'm not worthy. I'm
Ah,
not deserving. I'm not that smart. It'll do both things. You can get the job and get laid off. That happens. That happens. Um, a lot.
so
Because that's human
you
nature.
have to,
We're not good
so
enough.
you have to be
We're just not
confident in it
deserving enough.
too.
Good things are not.
Right.
No, no,
Okay.
no. When I wrote the book,
No.
I'm glad you brought that up early. When I wrote the book, I used these things. And it wasn't a good job. I typed almost every sentence. It didn't come out right. It slowed me down, language, my natural syntax and style. And I was very careful not to put in the word, you have to be confident. You have to have faith. You have to be a good meditator. You have to be good at meditation, would be a better way to say that. So I didn't
Right.
put anything in there that you can get a failing grade on. You just think a 3-year-old can do this. The 3-year-olds are really good at their Christmas list. They have a bit of an
Exactly.
unfair advantage and they won't stop talking about it. But so you know the drill. You
Yeah.
get drilled. So
Yeah.
uh,
So,
um,
so, but
I have to
do
be
you
good at
feel
this.
like in a way that is that like how we co-create our reality through the positive
Yeah,
thoughts or negative thoughts?
that's what we do. Yeah. When I look at a city skyline, I say thought. Thousands, millions of hours of thought. And those things start to come out of the ground. It involves all these trades and all these businesses, and that's what they want to do too. And you get this group thought, and you get a skyscraper kind of thing.
Wow.
Um, Again, I was really a dummy about this. It was fun, and I told my friends, and sometimes we would send Judy something on a birthday or some anniversary, pick up the phone, call her, and there was this result, and we would do unusual things, and the results were sometimes embellished.
Mm.
In a bouquet of flowers, an autumn bouquet. There were 3 of us, 4 of us at a restaurant, and called her up, and she said she got this very big bouquet with these streamers and sparklies coming off of it. She called it. It was bigger than our thought, but we didn't specify much. We just pushed it out. And by the way, it is an unfair advantage for 4 of us to be doing the same thing. So you get a thought and you repeat it, and it will start to form from a vapor looking thing on the other side. On the other
Yes.
side.
I
Very few
love that.
people gifted enough to see it, but there are people who can't see it.
Right.
And I'll buddy up to them right away. because it's handy to have them around. And I got a call from Judy once. She said, that business plan you like, it's going back, it's going back to smoke. Well, so the internet was new. We didn't know about security issues. This thing's going to get expensive. We can't protect this little idea we have. We're going to let it go away. It's going back to nothing. So that's okay. Let it go. Let it go. There's over 400 stories on the website. So manifesting123.com.
Okay.
And I put up a new one every couple of weeks. Sometimes I do reprise stories because it's a rich mother load, and you can go on your computer and just search,
Yeah.
you know, any kind of name, and probably something will come up, any kind of word. I really enjoy doing it, and the stories keep coming in. That's why I like doing this. And I love it when people call me, and the first thing they're going to say is, "You're not going to believe this." And that's when I take a chair and I said, "Try me," And every well, I get really surprised, but usually, they're making these common things, but it's not uncommon for them. And they're whopper stories, and they're just everyday stories, but they get that they made a result. Now,
Mm.
sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes it's almost instantaneous, which is kind of crazy good. Um, and I can't understand why, because they're all doing a good job, but sometimes it just takes a little longer. The only thing I throw out there would be if you're working with another person, in other words, this is a relationship, you're targeting a particular person, or you're targeting the vice president's chair, corporation, there's a lot of moving parts. There's people, there's families, and
Yes.
there's all this business stuff. And it takes time for all these little things to fall into place. But sometimes they're just, really quick. And that is a stunner. And we just
Wow.
laugh like teenagers when that happens on the phone. It's just crazy good.
So, okay, this
But
is
you
really
don't
incredible.
have to be an expert. There is no expert to this. It's just
Right.
repetition. Go ahead.
No, no, I love
Repetition.
this. But so this makes me think. So I just want to share with your birth chart. You're a Pisces rising with the Aries moon in the second house and the Libra sun in the eighth. And you have Uranus in Cancer in the fifth house of creativity. So I want to ask you, who was 10-year-old Ken? And did your parents help inspire your creativity? Were you always creative? And how did this all come about in terms of the art, the artist that you are? And we're going to get more into your artwork soon. But what was the mindset of 10-year-old Ken? Did you have different dreams of growing up of what you wanted to be?
No, I didn't have any idea of the creativity. I do remember an early painting in my grandmother's house, reproduction, and there were two reproductions of fine art paintings in my mother's house, mother and dad's house. But I would sit and look at them, and I remember something at the pediatrician's office, a poster that I saw, 30 years later or something. I immediately recognized it. So I had that aptitude, and but I didn't. Our family, there wasn't an artistic thing going on there, and no, there wasn't a ready set launch. But when it was time for me to get into the arts, it happened. It just happened. Somebody said something to me that was insulting to me and my girlfriend,
Mm.
and I'd never stood up to an adult before, and I said, "You owe us an apology." Words came out of my mouth. I never talked to an adult that way. I didn't have the nerve, and I was 17. And he said, "I don't know why I said that." That's the magic word. I don't know why I said that. So what do you do when you get out of high school? I don't know. I don't really have any big plans. He said, "Why don't you work with me? I'll teach you picture framing." And I've pretty much been in the art business ever since
Wow.
at different levels, gallery, and then I decided to be an artist. And then along the way, I met the best landscape artists in the country and the best colorists possibly in the world um, on a fluke. And so we plugged in. Um, and then that's someone I think about throughout the day, every day. It's such a big influence on the art that I do. So when it was time for that, it just shoved its way in anyway. So that's how that happened. I was just on a float until that happened.
Well, do you think sometimes that for you that some of your creativity, it's really coming from the spiritual realm because you have the Libra sun conjunct Neptune, and that speaks to like aesthetically making things harmonious, peaceful, and beautiful. Do you feel like some of your artwork, and we're going to get into all the places you have it, do you feel that it's
Okay.
kind of a spiritual gift or like from the other side?
Well, you just described what I do. My work is pretty calm and sort of poetic. I lean that way, and somewhat abstracted, but it's on the realist side. So I like a high aesthetic, a calming, balanced piece of art. That's it.
Yeah.
Um, I have been told, it's very, very clear from more than one source that there are people that help me have the energy to paint, not to influence me per se, but I'm
Yeah.
a big student of fine art, certainly in well, just fine art, American art, well, European art. I look at everything, and I have
Yeah.
huge files of things. Before I had a huge library, I still have a big library, so I'm looking at stuff all the time. I'm influenced all the time. If I need an idea, I can just go look at something or it's on the computer, and I'll go, "Oh, that's the solution to that problem." 'Cause I'm trying to push myself, and I'll get to a place where I don't. What's the best resolution for this? Because yeah, I'm off the edge of the diving board. I don't know what to do next. So I do get help. There have been instances where I I sent a piece to Judy Goodman, insured it for $300. It was a gift, sending her graft because she helped me so much with her abilities, and UPS crushed it.
No.
So they sent it back. I got my $300, right? And so I worked on it a little bit, and I went too far, messed it up, and I got up the next morning, and I've never done this before, and I just went, "You fix this." Took a break, came back, 15 minutes, boom, it was done. I don't know how that happened, but it
Wow.
just happened. Everything I needed to do, it just went quick, and you know, I was kind of out of the way, but I was doing the work, and so it went back to Judy, and there was something eventful uh, when that got there, but when it got on the wall, um, one of those first nights, Judy heard music in the house and traced it back to that picture.
Really?
And she had a neighbor. Yeah, I was playing her favorite thing. It was Amazing Grace with bagpipes. Well, I
Wow.
had nothing to do with that. It's pretty easy for me to understand something. Something big got in there, right? I don't know who, what, but something got in there and did that. Her favorite stuff. So could have been her favorite big guy.
Well, that's
She's not.
very Neptune and Libra, eighth house. I got to tell you,
Yeah,
in terms of the
yeah,
astrology,
yeah.
that's
And there's
incredible.
other times where people have felt the paintings, and these are people that aren't psychic, and they felt it and they bought it. Really, not because that they liked it, but they would feel it from time to time in the house too. Not my juice, not my plan, but you get to be a conduit for stuff. You do that on your show. You're making a wave. You don't know where that thing goes,
That's
and
right.
it can go out multiple generations. You got to
Yes.
watch what you're saying to the kids because you know that well, right? So
Exactly. I tell my boys all the time, that they need to speak positively to each other. And I also explain to my clients the same thing that, we cut the negative thoughts off in the head. And I said, remember, the subconscious mind is always listening. So you don't want to gossip and talk bad about other people either. Speak kindly to yourself about yourself and to others. It's
yes,
important.
yeah. So here's a big piece of this. There's two big powers that run things, and it's love and fear. So if you're afraid of not getting the bills paid, and you repeat that, your thoughts will merrily make whatever you repeat, and it's powered by fear. So that's the turbocharger. If you want to
Mm,
send a flower to someone in thought, and you can send this to the deceased people, and I can check up on it. My friends can check up on it. They get them. I do this all the time. They get them, and I can
Wow.
tell you a conversation about it. So if you do something for yourself, and you say you're grateful, you want to manifest new tires for the car. I'm so very grateful. I have new tires, and and here's the bonus: when you're talking about those tires, whatever it is, you manifest the future, and so you say, "I'm in my future." Doing it right now. In my future, I'm very, very successful as an artist. I'm breathing the air of my future. So it's an interesting thing. Or I can close my eyes and imagine I'm in a Paris cafe. It's all
Mm,
Paris. It's the trucks, the cars going by, and the music, and the food, and all that. And you imagine your future at that street side cafe,
right.
and you're so grateful. That's love. That's love.
Yeah.
You're not saying I'm afraid to be there.
Yep.
I don't
Everything is
want to
love.
get run by a truck going by, right? So, love or fear. But the big bonus is you manifest your future. On the other side, all my friends that go out of body, they all tell me everything is now. It's now,
Right.
past, present, future, and I just can't get that in this little limited thing here. But that's the way it is. So you imagine you're in your future. I do a lot of things. I'm in my chair. And I just imagine I'm in my future. I could rub the chair. I just declare it so. I hear a bird outside. That bird's in my future with me now. I just place myself there. And I have all these things that I manifest. I'm in my future, so and so, so and so. And I'm so very grateful. And I give a little time, as I say in the book, like cream going into coffee, and then you go into the next one. You're going to fall asleep. You're going to bore yourself. That's okay. It's all right. It's
Right.
like one pieces of paper one at a time, and it'll start building. I wish we could all see it, but I love what William Buhlman told me when I got back to him a couple of times on this. Kept going back and said, "Really, really?" And I said, "Well, what's your take on this?" He said, "Well, I'll give you my next wish list, and one of these things is China. I want to live in China. I don't want to visit. I want to live in China for a while." Shortly after, his wife, who worked for General Motors, said, "How would you like to live in China for a while? They want me to manage a plant over there." He was over
God.
there for 4 years. He was China out. He kissed the ground when he got back. I think he literally did kiss the ground when he got back. He did mention that.
Wow.
But he got that deal, which is crazy. That's crazy. Um, so he said, "I see my stuff taking form in various stations of formation. I would be stupid not to do this." And friend to friend, that was good enough for me. So I jumped in. That's
So,
when I
but do you think that it's a
started doing it. And in
measure?
terms of writing I just feel,
No, is it a measure of
say again,
trust and faith, though? Is it a measure of trust
no,
and faith? No.
no, no.
It's just simply the
Let's
thought
call it,
and
oh,
focusing on the thought with gratitude?
yeah, gratitude, love. You put a power behind it. And you may not have a good vision of this when you think of the scene in Paris, or if you're just in your chair and you're not quite totally in your future, but you state it. It's cumulative. It
Mm,
just keeps building. And
okay.
again, I guarantee you don't have to be good at this. I wrote the book, but I never felt like I was good at this. I would have good results, and not all the time, but I had these good results, and I wouldn't shut up about it for a while. That must be my chart too. Oh, he has the
Well, no, but
doesn't
see,
shut
that's
up.
right, but that's the thing. You have, with the Pisces rising itself, my mother was also Pisces rising, and Pisces risings are very magical. But having that Uranus and Cancer in the fifth house, that's coming from the heart chakra, and Uranus is the spiritual awakener. And so the creativity and
Yeah.
can, like, have you found, for example, can you or do you notice any of your manifestation near water or around water?
I'm a water much being in Colorado, but I don't feel any limitations
Mm,
on manifesting. We can get in the way of it because we
yeah.
put fear in there and entangle it. A great example is I had a big concern about money. I did manifest a house that was really beyond my means, and
Yeah.
it seemed impossible to get the house, but I got it. Now I have a big mortgage, and I just ran up my American Express card, and I had a big day coming to me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I just signed up for a 30-year fix. I got to hit a grand slam home run every month for 30 years. And I could feel thump, thump, thump. I mean, I could really feel the part of my chest. And I called Judy and I said, I need some help. She said, I know. Well, I could be any number of things that I need help on. I said, I'm worried about money. She said, I know. Why didn't you call me earlier? I said, I need to take care of that myself. She said, you're a good manifester. And I can go the other side and I can see what you're forming. And there's a spell on, but you have this like a big spider web all over it. And it's
We're having some
of
issues.
that off. But I can't take it off. So I just pull some of that off. Drowning in this. You've got to go forward on this thing. Quit worrying about money. And just get back to work and manifest that money's not, I don't even like to use the word money. Finances are not a concern. In my future, finances are not a concern. And I'm so very grateful. I just did it. Good for me. So, what's the day on
Wow.
that one?
So no, no, I love that. So I want to ask you a question about artists because people have their favorite artists out there, and I'm just going to throw out a couple names and just wonder if you have any connection to them or what your thoughts on them are. But obviously,
Okay.
people are into like Salvador Dali, Jackson Pollock, Basquiat. For me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Van Gogh, Picasso, Monet. Are there and do you, are any of those guys? Is there someone that stands out to you, or even Frida that you really love and appreciate? I mean, I went to Amsterdam and Paris, and for me, I went to the Van Gogh, and I just love Van Gogh, but that's my favorite. But
Mm-hmm.
do you have a favorite, and is there any of those that you really appreciate or respect?
Yeah. I mean, sorry. You could have seen the Rembrandts too when you were there in Amsterdam.
Oh yeah, Rembrandt. Yes,
Um,
yes, I did.
yeah, I
Yeah,
have, okay. I have a big affinity for Monet. He's a colorist, so I'm attracted to color. And of course, he
yes.
invented the new way of putting it down. So there's a line of colorists, and the guy that mentored me is straight into that line of colorists. And I told him so, and he didn't argue with me. Wolf Kahn, Kahn. So he came
Okay.
out of Monet, that came out of Bonnard, and then Wolf was the next guy to sort of step into. So very fortunate that I, met him. But it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But I had to do something with it. But I felt compelled to do something with it. And I was not good until I went to a master's class with him for a month, which was another accident because I didn't even know the class was being offered. Somebody told me about it
Right.
and I applied, I got in, and I was just, one of the three worst people in the class, but I learned a lot of good stuff. It took me a while to put it together. On creativity or anything like this, if I'm lacking in art, if I'm lacking creativity, I will manifest it.
Mm. Wow. Okay.
I don't want the lack. So I put the book together. An artist friend of mine, the other great artist that mentored me, he said, "You give all your time away." And I was doing websites for charities and those very time consuming things. So I was up a lot from 1 to 3 o'clock. It was nothing for me to be up as late as 3, but certainly 1 o'clock because I had like 5 or 6 of them and friends that were in the metaphysical realm and they weren't teched up and some artists. So I had both, so I could check them through it, kind of thing.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I remember I've got the book written. I printed it out. The manuscript is laying in chapters on the dining room table. I've been moving chapters around, and I'm set to send it to an editor. And I'm about to get off my exit from the interstate, And I remember what he said, "Ken, you give all your time away." And I'm just always busy. And people call me, "I know you're busy." They still do that. "I know you're busy, Ken." And I just set the wrong tone for all my friends because I was busy all the time. I enjoyed it, but there's better ways to live. And I'm thinking about that. I'm about to get off the exit, and I'm thinking, uh, how can I've written this book. There's this thing in my face. I'm going to manifest that this doesn't exist. And so this phrase just came in, and it was, I have perfectly synchronized. I'm in my future right now, and I have perfectly synchronized time. It just happened this morning in a big way. And it's perfectly synchronized between what I'm here to do, my friends, family, relationships, careers, and my personal time. And within 2 weeks, I had it. Some of these
Wow.
websites had 3 or 4 years that call us, "Hey, Ken, I know you're busy all the time. We have a new webmaster." They know these newer types of software things that you don't have the time to learn. So 3 of these websites were pulled off of me in about 4 months. That's like 2 hours a
Wow.
day that I just used to sleep if I wanted to. So
I
yeah, so I get that all the time. Get that all the
love
time.
that.
Today it was doing an art class with somebody coming in at Thursday at 2:45. I have some friends that they're going to go to Europe. I offered to take them to the airport, and they didn't know about this Thursday thing. They'll be there anyway. And they said, "No, we'll just do an Uber and all that." I got a note this morning. Said, could you take us to the airport?"
I love that. Explain that to me. So you you were kind of going to take them to the airport, and then the schedule just opened up, so there was nothing stopping you from taking them, right?
Well, I'm going to pick up someone coming in for an art class, and I have friends going to Europe. Turns
Yeah.
out it's on the same day, within 30 minutes of each other. My picking one up, and they're having to be at the airport.
Right.
They came back and said, "Well, can you make that work?" Yeah, yeah, it's already worked. It was worked up ahead of time. So yeah, no problem. My
So
favorite was yeah. Go ahead.
no, I was going to ask about, like, for example, when I was looking at your website, manifesting123.com, right? You have artwork and art classes all over the country. So you've got something going on in Cincinnati, Massachusetts,
Mhm.
and then also in Colorado, and coming up just May 16th and 18th, and then again in June. So share with everybody
Right.
what these fine art classes, or what you're teaching to people.
Well, I'm passing on what I learned from Wolf Kahn, who's the best colorist and the best American landscape painter. The other person, Forrest Moses, they were friends, and they were the two best landscape painters. And I would go to Forrest sometimes and say, you and Wolf are the two of the five best landscape painters in the country. I did this twice with Forrest. He said, "Well, who are the other three?" Well, I'll laugh out of that, but it's serious. I didn't have any names to give him. So
I love that.
I pass on what I learned, and Wolf learned from a German expat. When Nazis came to power, a lot of those guys came to New York, so he learned from
Yeah.
a great strategist. And I don't know where that guy got it from, but it's gold, and it's not in the art books, and they don't teach it in art school. Simple stuff, but the artists get it, and it'll change. It'll make their work better. It doesn't change it, but it makes it better. It's just tweaks.
Right.
Um, so when I do the class, of course, I want to manifest a success, right?
Yeah.
So I just put it out there, and then every day, even if I don't have a class to do this every day, I'm in my future, and in my future, I teach and lecture to full rooms or their equivalent, and much is given, and much is received, and I'm so very grateful,
Mm,
and
I
that's what
love
I
that.
do.
Yeah.
So those first 2 classes sold out. The third one sold out, and the second one here in town, it may or may not sell out, but it's doing well. It's a manifest. The first time I really used it for art, my failure rate was very high. I would fail 85, 90% of the time. That was terrible. That was worse than terrible. I probably should have just, gone for truck driving school or something. But I stayed with it. I wouldn't want to be terrible as a truck driver either, though. But my failure rate got up. So now, I'm in the 60-70% range. So I have things I can sell, and people say nice things about them. And I carry on. And I manifested, because I would tip this over. In my future, I go into my studio, and I have shelving on my studio, these stick on shelves.
Right.
And when I go in the studio, it's full of large paintings, and they're glowing white because I want to know what they are. They're all a glow, and they're really good, and people like them, and they sell steadily. In other words, I have a painter's career. And I stayed with that. It was, I don't know, 3-4 months. And I got a call from an art consultant. People in corporations, they'll get an art consultant to come and do their building or their office or something. So she came over, just like it was in my movie. We walked downstairs. I walked downstairs. Now I'm with someone. Went into the studio, and I have these big paintings. And she said, "Oh, I like these." And I can't remember what she said, 'cause I was shocked. It happened. I didn't realize it happened until we both walked in the room, and there they were. And it was a big shock, a big shock.
Wow.
I was trying not to cry
Yeah.
because I was so grateful and so stunned. And when she got out of there, I just sat in the room and said, "Look at me." And then I immediately started to make bad paintings. So back to ground level.
I love it. Now, didn't you just do a painting for the Mayo Clinic?
Yes, I did. It's 22 feet. We rolled it up last week. It just went out the door a few hours ago.
Wow, that's incredible.
And, well, yes, I'm grateful beyond belief, and it's a nice payday, and that helps too. That's all in the manifest. There wasn't anything outside of the manifesting thing here, other than the fact that it was really, really big. But I got through it. I got it done. I like what happened. But again, something I manifest is that I'm very, very successful as an artist, and people are very attracted to my work, and what is it I say? They're very attracted to the work, and they buy everything I make, and they place them in prestigious collections or personal or public spaces, and I'm so very
Wow.
grateful. So that's just the thing. That's the norm. But I came into this slow because I was goofing with this for 2 years. Now, really, there are two things that tipped me over. A couple called me. I was telling everybody at this. I just drive everybody crazy because I knew a thing. Now I started to think, this really works. I didn't get this as a key to the universe, which it truly is, but
Right.
it seemed to be powerful. And I was getting backed up by Judy, and William. Yeah, we're all doing this. And so a couple called me, and they said, "This is during the height of that first depression," and they said, "We can't make our house payment. We're afraid of losing our house. And we want to talk to you about this manifesting thing you talk about." I said, "Okay. What do you want? When do you want to talk about it now?" I said, "No, we're coming over." Okay. So they came right over. And they said, "We have a mortgage with a big American bank." Everybody knows the name. And we called them to say, we're going to skip a payment. You're in trouble here. Can you help us? And they said, "We don't own that mortgage anymore. We sold it. So call this 800 number." And so they did, and there's no answer. Now they don't know what to do. This is weird.
Right.
Now, I told them what to manifest, that you don't have any issues with this mortgage. We together, we hammered out something. And I said, "You have an unfair advantage, for the two of you are going to say exactly the same thing. This is just going to be, double the power on this thing, and you're very grateful. So you're in your future, and this mortgage is not a concern. It's the best way to say it. Never said money, never said dollars. There's the equivalent of money. It could come as a will. It could be a lottery ticket. They could lose the paperwork. We don't know. So a couple weeks later, they're at a party, and I never heard of one of these guys. They rented one of these guys. What do you do? I'm a lawyer. Yeah, what kind of? Well, I help people who had trouble with mortgage companies. They went, huh? Well, I've never heard one of these guys with that space. We said, well, what? We've got this problem. What have you got? And he said, well, send me your paperwork. I'm going to look into this. He got back to him right away. He said, your mortgage has been sold 5 more times. It's now owned by a company in Europe. And guess what? They don't have clear paperwork. They don't have clear title to your house. So what I advise you to do, because these things just don't go away, you start putting money back. This is just, your business is turned around, and don't walk away from this thing. And so this went on for, I think, a year and a half. They had a representative come down to our local court, and he had an Excel spreadsheet with their name on it. And the judge said, you have no standing here. My daughter in school can make a spreadsheet with her name title. So, evidence of. And the mortgage company called him back and said, sometime later, and they wanted to make payments. They didn't want to just steal. So the mortgage company said, well, here, how about this deal? 2% interest going forward. You don't owe any back payments. No cash up front. You keep the house with a new loan at 2% interest. Same loan. Will that work? Yeah, that worked. Not even possible.
Oh my!
And then,
so they wound up skipping months of
right after
payment,
that,
and then they had to pay a lower amount.
a year and a half, and they lower their mortgage from, it was 6% or 4% down to 2%. Nobody can get a 2% loan. There's no such thing.
That's incredible.
Not for a house
That
mortgage.
is incredible.
Yeah. So the other thing that tipped this thing over, I'm still yakking about now. I've written this book instead of I'm going to shoulda thinking about it. I've written this book, so now I have a bit of a big shot epaulette on one side. I'm almost a published author. I don't have a publisher. I'm a self-published. Anyway, now again, I'm talking about this all the time. And as would happen, waitress came over and goes away, and I got a hit because this has happened before. And I told the guy I'm with, this is what's going to go down when she comes back. What I thought. She came back around again, and I said, can I ask you a weird question? I have a personal question. She said, okay. You ask for things? Do you manifest things? You make vision boards, wish lists? You pray for things? She said, yeah, I do. I ask for stuff. Well, like what? She said, well, I asked to be in a car accident. And I went, what? She said, yeah, the woman over there, the other waitress, she got in a car accident. It just bumped her, and she got a $30,000 settlement. So I asked to get in a car accident. And, well, what happened? She said, I got hit by a car. I said, oh, no. Are you okay? She said, yeah, it was just another bump, but I didn't get any money out of it. I said, I'm writing a book about this. Would you have any advice for people about asking for such? She said, yeah, tell them not to get hit by a car, okay?
Oh my God.
So I had to write the book. That was
so we have to be very specific with our words.
It up right there. It's like in your place, you got all these great stories.
Yeah. No, I said we have to be very specific with our intention and our words.
Good point. Thoughts are extremely literal. Yes, extremely literal. If the kid wants a Ferrari, 14 years old, he'll get a model. He'll get a poster. They're not going to give him the keys to that's not going to happen, Or maybe his dad will get one. He can sit in the car on the passenger side. But that Ferrari is going to happen in some form. But for him driving this 14-year-old, probably not. Now, in terms of relationships, I'm not in a serious relationship right now. I've had wonderful relationships. Somebody said, well, what's the matter with you? You're a manifestor. How come you're not married? Why do you have kids and all this stuff? Well, do you think I might have gotten in the way? Or maybe I'm still in school about relationships or something? maybe I've got something to learn. But it's all been wonderful. I don't really know the answer to that. It's out there. It's been out there for a long time. So there's little pieces of this and that. Um, but I couldn't really tell you what that's about, except that I may have something to do with that in a very big way.
Yeah.
But I said, "You're such a nice guy. How come, and I'm not out here. I'm not going fishing here. Okay.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. I'm not worried
That's,
about that.
but see, I tell people all the time, we really do have way more power than we give ourselves credit for. I dreamt about my wife before I met her. And
No, I
kind
met
of,
her before you met her.
yeah, I dreamt about her before I met her, and I manifested I have twin sons. And I
I'm
used to
kidding
speak
you.
about that
Yeah.
all the time when I was growing up, that I want to have twins. I want to have twins. I'm going to have
Wow.
twins. And then I forgot about it. I got married and I wound up having twins. So it really, it does happen. But sometimes
Yeah.
you may not even remember what you've said, or that your
Oh, yeah.
intention, you know.
Yeah. It
It's
could
it,
be some old habit that's coming at
no,
you.
it's so powerful. So what where can people sign up for your classes? Is everything on the website? And also your book is also
Yeah.
on Amazon,
For the
correct?
art, yeah, for the art classes, that's on my website. On the book, you can get the book, and there's the audio version where I narrate that. Um, and there's also an electronic version of the book without my
Okay.
narration. So 3 ways to get it. And somebody picked
Okay.
one up for $1 at Goodwill store and sent me a story right away. So that worked out pretty well too.
Oh, wow.
A
Okay.
buck.
So I'm going to have
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
down below in the description. So everybody, and everybody should go and join Ken's Facebook page. I was looking at that today, and that's really cool. So do you
Yeah.
collect like testimonials or manifestation experiences from other people?
I do. If somebody would send me a story, I'll send them a book. So a
Okay.
lot of books go that way. Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Now I would be remiss if I don't talk about the number two, and that
Yes.
is it's the fear thing. It's the fear thing. So remember, I got the mortgage on the big house, and I got all this money going out in a couple of weeks, and that's a problem. I'm scared to death about money now, and I know not to be scared. I know not to repeat a thought and be fearful, but I can't get away from it. And another friend of mine who's in real estate, and there is no real estate to sell, she called me and said, "You need to do something about this stuff, our problems financially." And I said, "Okay." And I hung up the phone and I'm thinking about sports analogies, like swing for the fences or hit the golf ball and, all this guy stuff. And nothing,
Yeah.
it makes no sense. And my mind went blank, just went blank. And a packet came in. That happens sometimes. And I didn't hear the words, but it was clearly there. And it wasn't my thinking because I was blank. Take action on your fears. Huh?
Mm.
Yeah, you went, I go, huh? You
What does
have more
that mean, right?
training in this sort of thing than me. Yeah. And I just kept my mind blank. It was a whole pack and it came out like this. So if you're not making enough money in your job, and don't forget there's the equivalent of money, but if you need that raise, then take action on that and write a list of things you can take to your boss that shows where you can be of more value to the company, what you're in value now, or other ideas that makes you more valuable. Call a mentor that's in this business or someone that knows you and would help you mentor, segue out of this into something else. Um, Hit the want ads, take action. You can't get them all done in one day. They won't all return calls in one day, but run the bases. And at the end of the day, said, well, that's all I can do. No one's going to answer the phone. It's 10:30 at night. Get a good night's sleep. Get up in the morning and do it again. It'll feel good because you've done everything you can do. everything you can think of to do, and you stay with it. And in your future, this is not a concern. And I love the phrase. There were two women who, uh, well, put together. They were both in bad situations in their marriages. Knew them both. They talked to me a day apart, and their plan was when the oldest child uh, graduates from high school, they're going to divorce. That they both had identical plans. A week later, on a Thursday, they both called me the same day and said, out of the blue, the same script, our husbands, and they call me individually, but their husbands that day said they wanted a divorce ahead of schedule. They were flipped out. And
Wow.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm flipping out too. I'm responsible, maybe in a big way, for both of these lives being changed and their families. And I'm really a pumpkin head here. I'm not. I just say this stuff and repeat it like I'm saying here, and things happen. And I said, "Well, what were you manifesting? What was the thing?" They both had a family gathering. It was a day at the beach or Thanksgiving or something like that. And the husband's not in the movie. I call it a movie. You make a movie.
Yeah.
And they went, it's like, oh my God, did I kill off the main character? They went, oh. And well, we all did that. But that's what happened. And everybody was happily ever after. It was time, apparently.
Yeah.
But I would have to just think they said something. A lot of things were set in motion, but here's an identical result on the same Thursday, which said, and maybe you should write a book about this stuff. It's another one of those things.
Yeah.
So take action on fears. I can't, I'll just say it plainly. I can't afford to not sell paintings. I can't afford to be sick. I can't afford to any number of things I don't want to
Right.
happen. I don't even want to say them.
Right.
But so I'll just say, I don't want these things to happen. So in my future, those things don't exist. One moment with a barking dog. Bark, 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 bark. Called me a couple times, sometimes in tears. The people next door were teasing her. And the kids would yell and scream, and sometimes they call her name. Bark, 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 bark. It's all going on. And I said, well, why don't you just, in your future, that dog is not a concern. They might move away. The dog might get some training. I don't know. But in the future, it's not a concern. She's desperate. I'll try it. About a month later or less, call me back. She said, you're not going to believe this. Try me. She said, that dog is still barking, but it's like I don't hear him anymore. I'm absolutely unconcerned about that dog. It was an internal shift because they didn't change. They were still nut jobs. But in her future, that's not a concern. Well, what's the mechanism on that one?
And they're all tied together in one way or another, but it is like changing that energetic frequency, either to remove something or to bring something in, but to create a new existence and a new reality.
Yeah. I used to drink, always had a Coke with me, 4 to 6 Cokes a day. Always wanted the Coke. I just love them. I still love them. I just love them. Did I tell you? I'm a walking Coke commercial. And my weight was up, because I just eat whatever I want. I have perfect health all the time, so I don't take any medications or anything.
Right.
Good genetics right from the get-go. Anyway, I want this weight. I want to be at my perfect weight. I try to be clever about what I ask for. I don't want to go in the hospital and lose 25 pounds. So in my future, I'm at my perfect weight, and I'm very happy about that, and all is fine. Could I lose another 5? Yeah, maybe 7. Sure. Yeah. But, it works for me. It's all right. And I'm sitting at my dining room table, and I just happened to look over the refrigerator and heard a pop. And I knew that I don't need to drink those Cokes again. That many Cokes. And I got back to one a day, and sometimes it's more than that, but down from 4 or 6, and I immediately lost 8 pounds in a couple of weeks. Guys can do that if they just get the sugar system.
Yeah, the sugar, yeah.
Yeah, so that was an instant thing, and I actually got a heads up pop, and I had to know and look at the refrigerator. And I'm not Ken Super Psychic. It was just one of those things could happen to anybody. But that was very interesting. Yeah.
So, Ken, we're dealing with some interesting times here, right? In 2025, and the
Yeah.
world there's unfortunately a lot of chaos, but I think a lot of people are in a place of fear. And I always tell people, faith over fear. Don't worry about things that you can't change or whatever. The thing that you need to focus on is, vibrating from your heart chakra, staying in gratitude, vibrating from, being your true authentic self, and always, choose love over fears, like you were saying earlier. So with the way things are now, especially in America, what tips or advice would you give to people who may still be caught up in this system in the matrix and so concerned about every little thing they see on the news, besides turn off the television, because that should be number one. But what insights and tips would you give to people for them to manifest or change their perception of things to be okay and to know that everything's going to be all right?
Okay. Well, you want everything to be all right for you. You start
and
there.
and the world.
Yes, yes. I don't watch television either. I don't watch television
Exactly.
because it's too um, it's turbocharged as well,
Yes.
and I don't need to watch the jumping trucks and all that anyway. That's a hard way. So I read the news. It's difficult. It takes 45 minutes to get some news, and in 45 minutes I can read entire newspapers, or skim them. So I would say that in your future, you're not upset with bad news.
Mm.
I must be
That's
allergic to that one.
good.
So, in my future, I don't fear the news that I read. I don't fear what's going on in the world. I have ideas. I mean, in my future, I'm actually helpful to my friends and family, or however far out you want to go.
Right.
And so you turn that around. And if you catch yourself being in fear about it, and then just say it again. But once a day is all you need to do. And
Mm.
you're so grateful. Now, here's another thing. This has happened to me on a couple of occasions. I passed it on to other people, and it worked 80% of the time. And that was I'm getting out of the car, park the car. I'm going to go see someone,
Right.
and there's going to be a regression. Now, the last time I had that regression, something happened, and I had trouble putting my arms around that because I'm in the movie and there's things going down that, it's just, like pretty big stuff.
Right.
So now the second time I'm about to get out of the car, and I'm very nervous about something like that happening again. I just like to, whatever's going to happen, uh, and not get the wigglies about it, and 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 so again, it was just a download, and I've passed it on to people. And what I exactly got was this: I want this anxiety to be reduced in 12 seconds. No, not one. Reduce my anxiety in 12 seconds. Where it's supposed to go. And I got out of the car. I thought, well, this is ridiculous. It's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But I didn't say it out loud because more power. Got out of the car, went in and did the thing. Well, another thing happened, and it was all fine. Got back in the car, put the keys in, went, when did I stop thinking about the anxiety? It was somewhere within 12 seconds. By the time I went upstairs, I don't know when it went away, but it went away before I went upstairs, went in that office.
That's right.
It happened to another person. It was in a very professional position and called me and was next to tears in an all glass office, corner office. And she didn't want her people, a whole floor of her people, to see that she just came out of a upper level meeting and it wasn't good news. She didn't want them to see
Mm.
that. So she's standing behind the wood door and called me and said, I need help. I said, what's up? She told me what I just gave you. And I said, well, you just say that, yeah, it was. I want this to be reduced in 12 seconds. She said, that's it? She said, yeah. Before that, she said, I'm in trouble. I want you to get your heebie jeebie guys on this. That's what she said. And I
I
said, well,
love
here
that.
you go. Yeah. She called me back in less than 5 minutes. She said, what did you do? I didn't do anything. I guess the heebie jeebie guys took care of that.
Oh, I
But it
love
works.
that.
It worked pretty well. There have been a few times it just did not. So just keep repeating it.
Yeah.
And I've done that before and it finally dissipated. Maybe not completely, but I wanted that anxiety reduced. I didn't ask for a miracle. I
Yeah.
just wanted it reduced. I didn't want it down.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to ask you one last question, and then I want you to just to share your website information and Facebook and all that. But
Okay.
so let me ask you this. Do you feel though, because you've said it kind of, in different ways, should we not, because I've always heard that when we say that we want, it's an energy of lacking. Should we say that
Yes.
we should stay in the gratitude? Thank you for allowing me to have my mortgage paid and stay instead of saying I want my mortgage to be paid, right? Because want is like a
Um,
spirit or energy of lack.
yeah.
Is that correct?
Well, the thoughts are very literal, and I have to honor that. If you go
Yeah.
over there and you start making commands, they happen instantly, instantly, one after the other, bang, bang, bang. But they're literal.
Yeah.
Um, so over here, there's a part. Well, you know your heart when you say wanting. Don't go crazy about that.
Right.
But watch your words. Judy can see words take form.
Yes.
So she'll when she hears wanting, watch your words. There's no way to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, work it that way. If you're God Almighty and I walk up to you and I say, "Well, I want this thing," you'll just look behind me and just go next. Yeah, you're already wanting. I don't have to do anything. Next. There's no action to take. You're already in one. So yeah, watch your words, but don't beat yourself about it. Let's get better at it. That's all. But it's repetition
Yes.
with gratitude. And if
Yes.
you have a fear in your future, that fear does not exist. That person, that bad boss, that barking dog, that lack of money, those four flat tires, whatever it is.
Well, I'm gonna get on manifesting a vacation either to the Bahamas or Hawaii for this summer. So I got some work to do.
Are you? Why,
I'm,
why would
I'm
you say you have some work to do?
it's already there. My future self is on the beach somewhere.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, well, enjoy the movie. Make sure to bring everybody with you.
Oh, yeah, I'm bringing my wife and my son, so we're gonna have a great time at the beach.
Okay, no barking dog.
No barking
Yeah.
dogs.
All right. So here's the thing that I do. Um, I'm in my future, and in my future, I meet wonderful people and I visit marvelous places.
Mm,
And I don't have to worry about the time away or the money to get there. And I'm very grateful.
I love that.
So not long after and I'm always inserting and rearranging, my little list. It was a very short time after that, got a call from somebody, Lynn Van Praw is coming to town. I know of her and her brother. And she said, I want Lynn to stay with you because you're used to being around psychics. She won't drive them crazy with questions. And so Lynn and I were together for 3 days or so, and we really bonded. And so we're friends for life. She said, absolutely. She said, I want to do you a favor. I said, you don't owe me anything. She said, no, no, no. I'm retired American Airlines. I'm going to put you on my buddy list, and you can fly anywhere American Airlines goes on standby for free. And I
I
looked
love
at
it.
her. I said, can I say a spiritual thing that I can't repeat here? And she just laughed. And so I have my own private Air Force. Really, my own private Air Force. Because I don't have to worry about the time of where the money to get there.
Yeah.
So I never hesitate to buy a little ticket to somewhere because it just works out.
I
And,
love
and,
that.
and what, if we have the time, I'll give you a story about Lynn that's remarkable.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Lynn passed away 2 Aprils ago, and she was like a sister to me, truly. And I saw a picture of her on Facebook with a friend, and there's a nice sunset over here, and the aperture is messed up, so they're real dark. The sunset's just right. So I just took them out, and I'm doing the sunset. So I'm painting a 36 square painting. Lynn sunset, blah blah blah. Lynn sunset. I'm just thinking about that. I
Yeah.
finished it up. It was pretty late at night. Photographed it, wrote up a little something. I'm going to put it on the web. I need a title, and so I can't call this Lynn Sunset. She just died. I can't do that. It's that time of night, and I just called it Lynn Sky. That's it, Lynn Sky. Forget about it. She would say that. Forget about it. And so the next day, I'm calling Peter Marks, a friend of mine who, like Judy, sees the other side, hears them and sees them. Peter Marks. You can catch him online. And I met him through Lynn. And I'm talking with Peter. Now I'm ready for Lynn. If I should be talking to him and Lynn shows up, I sent her a white rose.
Mm.
And over here, I sent her something else. She and her husband, when they dated in high school, they liked this thing a lot. And they're both over there to see. So I'm talking with Peter. He said, Lynn showed up. She's here. Oh, hi, that kind of thing. Well, you're not dead. All that sort of stuff. And I said, I sent you something in thought. Did you get it? In your right hand. She said, a white rose? I said, yes. Well, she said, I got a white rose. Just like that. Because we played this game. Not with her being on the other side. I said, did you get the other thing? She said, no, I didn't get that. So anyway, we're talking along. She said she's got to go. And she said, by the way, did you paint a painting for me? Well, I really didn't. But I did and I didn't. So I'm going to tell someone on the other side a white lie, right? Now, what's up with that? What's the downside of that? What's the hit on telling somebody and they know that it's a white lie? Anyway, because I didn't actively paint it for her. I said, yes, I did. She said, is the name of it Lynn Sky?
Oh my gosh.
She caught the name change. That caught me off guard. I hear a lot of stories, but that came at me, and that I got a little flipped out about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I still get a little choked about that. That is the proof of concept right there, baby.
Wow.
And
Well,
then,
that.
wait, hang on. She said, what was the other thing you said? I said, 2 Jack in the Box tacos. She said, I thought my husband sent those. We love those days. She got them.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That is a story for the ages and a great way to end. And I'm so
Yeah.
thankful. My mother-in-law, Lauren, she's the one that connected us, and she speaks so highly of you. But she also, shared with me a powerful story about, with the artists that were there at your house, and that they felt the spirit of Jesus come through when they were there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, did she tell me that? I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, I think it was one of the artists that was there who was from another. I don't know if they were from another state or another country or from Minnesota or something.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it was just just incredible. But she really had a great time. So I love the artwork that you do with people and how you inspire people.
Thank you.
Share your website and your Facebook group with everybody, and we'll be down below in the description for everybody. But go ahead and let people know how they can connect with you, Ken.
Okay. Well, you don't have to buy the book because I give it all away. You have everything you need right now. But the book is full of cool stories. And of course, I tell you this stuff in different ways. So it's manifesting123.com. And the art website is Ken Elliott, 2 L's and 2 T's, kenelliott.com.
Yeah.
And have a good time.
I was just asking, do you do, like if someone wanted, could they do a custom work with you?
Yes. Yeah, it's on the website as well.
Oh, you do? Okay. Okay, great.
All right, we can do that. Yeah, I do those. I love
Yeah.
doing those. And I like hearing those results too.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, this was great.
A good time.
I
And I'd
love
love to hear those stories. I'm a story guy. I can't get enough stories. I don't know that I heard that story. Now, there is this thing about me. Somebody says something happened and, I looked over your pancakes and I saw Jesus on it. I'm probably not going to remember it. Because then I own up to something here. And I'm probably going to duck that one completely, to tell you the truth. Oh, that's nice.
Well,
nice.
I'll tell you this. I know amazing stories. They tend to follow you around. So I'm not surprised what my mother-in-law shared with us. But she had a great time. But I had a great time having you on the podcast. So I just thank you so much. This was so much fun. And I will continue to move forward manifesting 1, 2, 3. And I won't need the 3. So I love it. So thank you so much. And this is really
you don't need the 3 because I got to put it in there. The reason you don't need number 3, we're already very powerful. There's no need for number 3. Forget about number 3.